What's really happening in the Middle East? Honestly, it's not the version of victory you might be hearing on some of the cable networks. We are currently 14 days into a high-intensity US-Israeli war with Iran, and the structural shifts we are seeing in the global energy markets and the geopolitical landscape are quite frankly unprecedented. According to BBC News, we've just received the first official statement from Iran's newly appointed supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei. But here is the catch, and it's a big one. No one has actually seen him. No one has heard his voice. The message was read by a state television announcer, fueling massive speculation that the man might be incapacitated, or worse, following the strikes that killed his father, the late Ayatollah. You have to ask yourself, if the leader of a nation under total siege is a ghost, who is actually holding the trigger? Is this a genuine transition, or is the world being fed a narrative while a military junta, the IRGC, takes absolute control behind the scenes? We are looking at a black box leadership in a nuclear-capable nation during a time of total war. This isn't just a political transition, it's a potential institutional collapse being masked by state media. The intelligence coming out of Tehran, via BBC Persian, suggests a massive breach of tradition that almost no one in the West is properly pricing in. This wasn't a standard transition, it was a desperate, chaotic coronation. The Assembly of Experts, the 88 cleric body that's constitutionally mandated to elect a leader, was literally bombed by Israel days before this announcement. Their meeting hall is in ruins. Mojtaba doesn't even have the religious credentials. He's not a grand Ayatollah, and in the Shia world, that is a terminal flaw in legitimacy. He's essentially a clerical prince without a kingdom. So what we are witnessing is the birth of a militarized dynasty, likely run by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC. They are the only ones with the communication infrastructure left standing. When you hear the words of the supreme leader now, you are hearing the voice of the military elite. It marks the final transformation of the Islamic Republic into a Praetorian state. But here is the question. Can a regime maintain its grip on a population that sees their new leader as a figurehead of the very forces bringing destruction to their doorstep? In his statement, Mojtaba, or the IRGC committee writing in his name, vowed that the leverage of the Strait of Hormuz must certainly continue to be used. This isn't just a local blockade, it's a global economic chokehold. We are looking at a narrow 24-mile stretch of water that handles 20 million barrels of oil a day. And as of this week, BBC Verify shows traffic has effectively ground to a halt. The technical reality here is sobering. Oil is screaming back toward $100 a barrel, and the emergency reserves, being released by dozens of countries, aren't even making a dent in the spot price. But here's the detail almost no one notices. The IRGC isn't just using mines and submarines. They are using swarming tactics with suicide boats and 2,000-mile range drones to create an air bubble over the water. Analysts like Justin Crump, speaking to the BBC, point out that to reopen this strait, the US would have to essentially invade and hold the far bank to push back the IRGC's mobile launch units. Does the US transition team have the stomach for a ground war in the Iranian highlands? If you look at the supply-demand ratios, we are entering a territory where global inventories will be depleted within 60 days. This isn't a price spike. As reported by BBC's Barbara Plett-Usher in Doha, we're seeing a tactical expansion into financial warfare that is rattling institutional investors. Iran is now targeting international banks like HSBC and Citibank in Qatar and Dubai. Their logic is simple and brutal. Since the West hit our bank SEPA in Tehran, international financial institutions are now legitimate targets. This is why you see residential skyscrapers in Dubai being hit by drones and military helicopters taking out projectiles over the Burj Khalifa. We are watching the potential deglobalization of the Gulf. If the world's safest tax havens and financial hubs are within range of the Iranian vengeance drones, the capital flight could be catastrophic. Is the market prepared for a reality where Dubai is no longer a safe harbor? Think about the REITs, the real estate investment trusts, and the sovereign wealth funds. They are all tied to the stability of this region. When you see a drone hit a high-rise in view of the Burj Khalifa, you aren't just seeing a tactical strike. You are seeing the destruction of the safe haven premium that the Gulf has enjoyed for decades. Now, let's look at the internal mechanics inside Iran, because this is where the regime is truly vulnerable. BBC Verify and the UNHCR are reporting that 3.2 million people are currently displaced inside Iran. People are fleeing Tehran for the north, not because of a revolution, but because of a massive humanitarian crisis. The US-Israeli coalition has shifted to a new stage of the war. They are now zeroing in on the besieged checkpoints. These aren't just military targets. They are the regime's internal crowd control mechanism. By hitting the checkpoints, the coalition is trying to clear the path for a domestic uprising. But there is a dark side to this precision campaign. BBC News reported on a strike that hit an elementary school in Minab, resulting in over 160 casualties. Does the West really believe a population under a rain of Tomahawk missiles will rise up and thank the coalition, or will they unite under the flag of survival? The Iranian police chief just went on national TV with a chilling warning. Anyone who protests will be treated as an enemy and shot. It's a pressure cooker. According to BBC Persian, the sentiment on the ground is shifting from hope for change to terror of the wounded beast. This war is creating ripples that are reaching all the way to the plains of Ukraine. According to BBC's James Landell in Kyiv, there is a very dark irony playing out. In just the first 2 weeks of this Middle East conflict, the Gulf states and US forces fired off 800 Patriot missiles. To put that in perspective, that is more air defense than Ukraine has used in its entire 4-year war with Russia. Ukraine is watching its supply chain for interceptors vanish in a matter of days. Meanwhile, the surging oil prices are filling Vladimir Putin's coffers. Putin is being conspicuously silent right now because he wants to stay on Donald Trump's good side, hoping that a victory in Iran leads to a settlement in Ukraine. It's a masterclass in pragmatic geopolitics. Is Iran being sacrificed so that Russia can consolidate its gains? Russia is already positioned to fill the gap in oil exports to China, while the Gulf is offline. Every day the Strait of Hormuz stays closed. Moscow gains billions in leverage. Zelensky is desperately trying to bridge the gap by sending drone hunting advisors to Jordan. He is fighting a tidal wave of redirected resources. And then there is Lebanon. BBC's John Donnison is reporting the heaviest night of bombing in Beirut since the conflict began. The death toll there is nearing 1,800. Israel is signal jamming and striking the Beirut seafront, targeting Hezbollah leadership with no sign of stopping. There are even calls from within the Israeli government to reoccupy southern Lebanon, a move that would require a massive influx of ground troops. We are seeing a coordinated effort by the axis of resistance. While Tehran is hit, Hezbollah fires 200 rockets back. While Dubai is hit, the Houthis in Yemen target shipping in the Red Sea. It is a multi-theater conflict that the US military is struggling to contain. The BBC reported that British forces in Iraq were forced to shoot down Iranian drones targeting coalition bases in Erbil. This isn't a localized skirmish. It's a regional conflagration that is testing the limits of Western military logistics. We have to wonder, when the dust finally settles and the oil starts flowing again, what kind of Middle East will be left? Will it be a liberated Iran or a wounded beast of a regime that is more militarized and more aggressive than ever before? The markets are betting on a quick exit, but the structural reality suggests we are in the opening chapters of a much longer, much more dangerous book. The Iranian New Year, Nowruz, starts in a matter of days, a time of rebirth and spring. Instead, according to BBC Persian, people are hiding in their beds, listening to the jets, waiting for the sirens that never come. The regime is fighting for its life, and as history shows, a regime with its back against the wall is the most dangerous player on the board. We are seeing a geo-economic shock that analysts say could rival the 2008 crisis if the blockade lasts another month. This isn't just a war, it's a reset of the global order. If you found this macro analysis useful, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more updates on the structural shifts in the global landscape. I'm Jordan Roy Byrne, and I'll see you in the next update.